So in this video, I'm going to show you the basic structure of an HTML. Now, this is how an HTML is. You have the doc type, the HTML, then you have the header tag, and then you have the body, and then so here I'm going to show you what we mean by tag, attribute, and element. Everything that we do in HTML, like we said, is a basic structure of a web page. So take for example, we want a page that, let's say, a card that shows my profile. Okay, so I have image, my name under the image, and other details there. So what do? In that case, I will have to wrap it around a divider. So this is what we call a divider. So inside this divider is where I'm going to have image, I'm going to have title, which is my name. And so let's go with the first one, which is image. So we can say that we want an image tag. So inside this image tag, we need to declare the source where our image is going to come from. So we can do something like this, then slash, or we can follow the name of where we are getting our image from. Then we can now close the image. Now remember that the image tag is self-closing. So a self-closing tag is like this, while the one that is not self-closing, it will start like this and will close this way. So now we have an image tag and we have an attribute, a source attribute. Okay, then what else do we need? Let's say my name. So since I need my name to be, this is an ID card, so I can title it. So I will need to have a header. So I'll do H1. So inside this H1, I'll now say my digital card. Okay, I can call it my digital. The H1 is another tag. Okay, so we have different tags depending on what you want to do. We have H1, H2, H3 down to H6, which are for header tags. For titles. Okay, they are header titles, so that you can give to your element. To your element. Or we have H1 down to H6. We have image tag here. We can have another tag which can be this time a paragraph tag, because we want to describe me. Who am I? So I can say software engineer. Okay, so let's just leave it like this. Okay, so you have an image tag, you have H1 tag, and then you have the paragraph tag. Now let's say I want to add my LinkedIn link here. So how do I do it? I need to call the anchor tag. This is the anchor tag. Then I'll call the href attribute. Now inside this href attribute, I'll now say linkedin.com. I'll now put in my LinkedIn here, https this.com, and like that. The source here is an attribute, the href here is also, and this is what we call a tag. And there are different tags when you are dealing with HTML. So all of this inside this, all of them together is what we call an element. They are what we call an element. So let me close it. LinkedIn here. All of them together is what we refer to as what? Element. So this is a tag, this is a tag, this is an attribute, this is another attribute, and then all of them are wrapped inside a div. Okay, the last thing I will show you is the class and ID. So you can give it a class name. So if I give it a class name, now I can say digital ID. Okay, I can say digital dash ID. So with this digital ID, I can now use it to style this particular file that we have here. So I can give each of them, I can arrange them, image to the right, image to the left, or the H1 to the left or right. So I can use the class here to target them. Then individually, I can also give them their own class. I can give it the class of image. I can say img, so I can target it using the class name. So let me do it like this. You cannot guess whether you style an HTML element. You either style by class, you style by tag. When you do this, you are already styling. So everything you do with this class name image affect only the image. The same way, if we come here now and I give it another class name and I say H1 or header, or I say title, let me just say title, let me call it title. With this title class name, I can now target this thing and style it, give it the color that I want, and a basic structure of an HTML look like tag and then an attribute. Now, having understand this, let me show you how to use the web developer tools to inspect a website. So like I said, we are going to use the real Python fake job site. When you want to use the developer tools, you right click, okay, and when you right click, you scroll down, you will see inspect here. So you click on inspect. You can now see that as I'm clicking out, you can now see each of them. So this is the website build HTML. So it's a basic HTML site. So it has a section with a class name section. It has a container that contains all the jobs. That's a H1, which is for the title of the job. Then you have a container. So this container is what contains all the jobs that you can see on the site here. Okay, like you can see them here. All right, so this is what we mean. This is how to inspect a website. So you can check for classes, you can check for their classes, for the ID. Okay, take for example here, I think here should have an ID. All right, okay, yes, so it has to use an ID here. So the ID is what you use to target your element in order to make it interact. You can see that all of them are carrying the same class name, and when we open it for that, let's keep opening this first one, and then you see what I'm saying. As we keep opening it, you start from here. There's a container, there's a result container, okay, and then there's another container that hold each of the job, okay, and then there is a card. So each job is in a card with their card class. So it has image, it has image container, and then you can see as I'm hovering on it, you can see the element that you are seeing. So it has image here, and then you can also see the media content, the title, senior Python developer role, then subtitle, it's telling you the company that is hiring, and then you can also see the address of the job, okay, and then you can also see the date of the job. All right, so this is how, and you can see the date time is also an attribute, okay, so you can use the date time to specify date there. So this is how a basic HTML is, and how you can use developer tools. You can go further and further to get to see whatever you want to see here. So if you want to use it to know the image size and the ratio, whatever, you can just go to the image that is holding that image, and then you can see what we are doing here. Okay, so this is how to use developer tools to inspect a site. Now, having understand this, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to scrape this site using requests. Okay, so let's look at how that is possible. All right, we're going to use this site, we're going to scrape it. So I've already have a demo.py here. It's a file where we are going to work. All right, so then what I'll need now is to create a virtual environment. A virtual environment is an environment that is separated from all of your work. Okay, so which means that any other thing you are doing in your virtual environment is separated from every other file. All right, so I'm not sure if I should delete it, but let me delete it. All right, so I'll delete this. Okay, now that is deleted, now let's create a virtual environment. I am using Windows. Whether you are using Mac OS or Linux, the command is the same. So it's the same. So Python flag m venv, then the name of my virtual environment. So I'll just call it VNV. Okay. All right. So when I hit enter, the virtual environment should be created. So all right. So the virtual environment has been created. All right, and it's asking me if I want to use it. Yes, I want to use it for this workspace. So let's allow it to index. Okay, so now that we now have our virtual environment created, now let's activate our virtual environment. I am using Windows. If you are on Linux, remember you have to use source followed by the virtual environment name, then you can also slash activate, right? All right, but here I'm using Windows, so I'll do env. Okay, I'll use ven and then backslash scripts. Okay, scripts backslash activate. Okay. All right. Okay, and here we go. So now we have our virtual environment created and we have our virtual environment activated. Now let's now install. So the first thing we need to do is to install request. Okay, so request allow us to access, to be able to scrape the site that we want. So let's do it. So I'll do pip install. So I'll do pip install requests. Okay. All right, so while our request is installing, let's import request. Okay, we import request because that is what we are going to be working with. Okay, we import requests here. Now the next thing is with the URL that we are targeting. Okay, don't forget we are targeting this URL. So let me bring it up. Okay, so this is the URL we are targeting. Okay, so this is the URL. This is the URL we are targeting. So I'll copy this. Okay, and then go back to the terminal. All right, now our request is already installed. So I need a variable that is going to hold the URL. So what do I call it? I can say URL address, or let me just call it URL. So I'll say URL equal to, and then I'll use here and then paste the address here. Okay, now I have a variable that is holding our URL address. Now I need a way to get, so I'm going to call request and then call the .get method on the request. Okay, so what do I do? So I'm going to have a variable. So let's have this variable. Let's call this variable data. So I'm going to call this variable data. Okay, so I'll call it data equal to, so I'll call requests, then I'll call the .get method. Okay, and then inside the .get method I'm going to pass in the URL. Okay, I'm going to pass the URL. Okay, now remember that you can also do it like this without needing to create this URL. You can also just bring everything here like this. Okay, you can just bring it here like this. It will still work. Okay, it will still work. For us to have a comprehensive understanding, so that's why we understand that there's a variable that is holding the URL, and then there's a data that we are using the .get method to get from the URL. All right, so now that we have the .get method holding the URL, now let's now fetch the data. Okay, so what do we do? So we need another variable. What do we call this variable? Just allow me to use any variable here. So I'll call this variable f, and then I'll say equal to, then I'm going to call the data. I'm going to call the data variable because that is the one that is going to hold the data we are getting from the URL. All right, so and then I'll call the .content on it. So I'll call .content. Okay, .content on it. Now the reason I'm using the .content is for us to have the content of the response. Okay, so let's print it. Let's print our f. So I'll say print and then pass in f here, and let's see what happens. So let's run the code. Remember the file name is demo, so I'll do python and then I'll do demo.py. Okay, so you can see the way it's coming, the data is coming for me. All right, so it's unstructured, it's not properly arranged. Now in a situation where the data you are getting comes like this, there is a way to format it and make it pretty. Okay, so for you to do that, we will use a web address. Okay, now if we now go to the web formatter now, we can now do something like this. Okay, so let's go to the next page. I'll do webformatter.com. okay, now this web formatter allow us to format HTML code, XML code, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, JSON, okay, depending on whatever you are bringing. So I'm going to select HTML and then I'm going to paste our code here. Okay, so and now you can see that we have our gibberish code formatted. So you can see how it is now properly arranged and then rendered to us. So this is how the web formatter works. All right, as we go further, I'll show you prettify and how to make sure that what we are getting, what is coming to us, is beautiful. So now that you understand HTML and how to script using requests, so let us now move further to look at beautiful soup. All right, let's look at beautiful soup. So you already know that we have, well, we have this here now. Okay, so I will now do clear. So let me clear everything away. All right, so let me clear everything away and then let me comment this out. Okay, let me comment this out. All right, now that this one is out there, so the next one we are going to do is we are going to use beautiful soup. But before then, let's install beautiful soup. So I'll do pip install beautiful soup. Okay, all right, so let's allow beautiful soup to install. So our beautiful soup is installing. Now while beautiful soup is installing, I must say that when you want to deal with a beautiful soup, the first thing you will always do is to import. Just like we import request here, we'll be using request along with beautiful soup. So I'll move them down here. All right, so I'll do here so that you can see. So I'll also import beautiful soup. All right, so let's use beautiful soup 4. All right, so you can see the way the error just told me what I need to do. So all I need to do is just make it beautiful soup 4. Okay, and let's allow it to install. Oh god. All right, let's do it again. Okay, now that it's installing. Okay, so I was saying that we are importing from the PS4. Okay, and our beautiful soup has been installed. So let's import beautiful soup. So from PS4 import beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. All right, okay, so now that we have our beautiful soup installed, so we're going to do the same thing. So I'm still going to move this down, going to bring this down. Okay, oh sorry, going to be from, not import, so from. Okay, here's for import beautiful soup, and then here, this is what we are going to do. So we are going to use the same URL, and then we are going to use the .get method to get the value from the web address, and then use the .get to pass in the URL. Now we're not going to use HTML per se, because it allows us, this is what comes with Beautiful Soup. So how do we do that? So let's have a variable. Let me call this variable s, okay, and then equal to, and then I'll now do Beautiful Soup. I'll call Beautiful Soup, okay, I'll call Beautiful Soup, and then I'll now pass in the page, okay. I'll now pass in the data, okay. I'll pass in the data, so I'll call data, then dot content. So the content that is coming, I want it, all right, and then I'll do command. Now I'll now use the HTML dot parser. So I'll do HTML, okay, sorry, it should be in a double quote, so it should be HTML dot parser. Oh god, sorry, HTML dot parser, HTML dot parser here, all right. All right, so now if we print s, let's print s and let's see what we got. Okay, so it's already installed. So let us now see, let's clear it, let's clear, and then let's see what we have. Okay, and here we go. So the reason why we are using the dot content is because we are using the dot content method because we want to avoid character encoding error, okay. So if we just passing data without the dot content, okay, we'll have encoding error, all right. So you can see what is bringing for us like this, okay, but then we can also change, okay. We can add dot prettify. Let me see if we can still add it here. So I can say dot prettify. All right, let's see if we can get it. Okay, so the dot prettify allow us to get everything in a pretty format. Let's see what we got. Okay, so you can see that we now have it in a well arranged manner. It's not scattered like before, okay. So you can now see each one of them, okay, each one of them in their different cards and containers, all right. So this is how to use a Beautiful Soup. We are using the HTML dot parser, all right. Now the first thing we are going to do now, what if we want to get an element, let's say in this case we want to just get the result, okay. What do we do in such a situation? Okay, in such a situation we can use, when we want to find an element by their ID. So let's go back to our here, okay. So you can see that we have an ID here, result container, which contain all of the jobs, okay. So if we want to find an element using their ID, how do we do that? For us to do that, we'll do something like this. So we'll come down, okay. So we already know that, okay. So let me just call it, let me call the variable ID. No, I can't use ID. Or let's say find by ID, okay. Let me call the variable find by ID, okay, and then I'll do equal to, okay, find by ID, I'll do equal to, then I'll now see s. Remember our s variable from the top there, which is holding the value from our Beautiful Soup, okay. Okay, so we can now do I can now do s dot find, okay. Then inside here I can now pass in the ID. What is the ID name? Okay, let's go back to our ID name, okay. Let's go back and check the ID name. The ID name is what again? result container. So we're looking for results container. So let's go back to our IDE. So we can type results, then container, results container. So copy this here with result container. All right, results container. Then here, now that we have it, we can now, let me now print find by ID. So let's now print find by ID. Okay, we can now say find by ID. All right, so remember, we can also call the prettify object method on it. Okay, sorry, prettify, and then here, so when we run it, we should be able to get the result of only the ones with the ID. Okay, all right, so as you can see, it's only giving us the result only for the ID. So it's giving us everything inside that ID. So all the jobs, we have access to all the jobs. All right, so this is how we can find an element. We can find an element by their ID name. Okay, now I hope this point is clear. Then we can also find element by their class name. Remember what I said earlier? Okay, so here we are using this ID name result container. We can also find an element using the class name here. Okay, so how do we do that? So let's go back to our code, and then here we can now write a code. Remember, we are still using the structure we've already defined here. We are using this structure already defined here. So the next one is, let me comment this out because I don't want too many things. So now I'll also do clear, so that will clear this terminal. So I'll do clear. All right, okay, so we have a neat terminal now. Okay, so we want to find all of the jobs. Okay, all jobs with their class name. How do we do that? Now remember that they are all in elements. Okay, so if we go back here, you can see that they are in element. We have this div element here, and then inside there we have the card content. All right, so what are we going to do? So we're going to do let's call a variable. So I'm going to call a variable. So this time around I'll say find by class name. So I'll say find by, so this time it will be class name equal to, so, and then I'll now call, remember our s, because it's our s is our object created from the beautiful soup. Okay, then I'll do the dot find all. So you use the dot find all method when you want to find element by their class name. Okay, so and then inside the method we can now pass in our div. Okay, so we are looking for a div that has a particular class name. So what's the class name? The class name is, so when you are calling your class, you should have an underscore like this. Okay, that way you are now telling the machine that this is what you want to do. Okay, so we have underscore equal to, then the name of our class. So in this case we are looking for the card container. Okay, so we say card container. All right, let's check it if I'm getting that spelling correctly. So we have is that card container? Yeah, so all in small letter, card dash content, not container, you see. So card dash content, so small letter, and they say dash content. All right, okay, Okay, so now that we have it like this, so we can also let's now print find by name, and let's see what we get. So I can say print find by class name, find by class name, and then we can also call the prettify on it again. Okay, sorry, prettify. All right, so let's run. So I hope you get what we are doing here. Okay, we're having an error. Oh, I need to be connected. My network has disconnected. Let's go again. All right, so let's print and let's see what we get. Okay, so we can do Python and then demo.py. So when we do this, what we get? Okay, now you can see that we are having error. See, object has no attribute. Okay. All right, let me remove the prettify, and let's run our code again. Okay, so you can see what we are getting. All right, we are getting only the jobs. Okay, we are getting only the jobs, and then you can see where all the jobs and the detail and the address of the job is what we are getting. So we can also get individual detail by looping. Okay, we can loop through this result we are getting, this result that is coming like this. We can loop through to get each individual each individual card. Okay, so how do we do that? So we can do for. All right, so we can do, let me comment this out. So I'll do for, so let's call it detail. I'll call it details in find by what? Find by class name. Okay, so for every loop you should be able to print for us. Okay, so we have colon, and then you should be able to print for us the details. All right, so we'll call print, then we'll say details. All right, then we need to specify where it will end. Okay, and it should go to the next line. Okay, so we'll say backslash and then x2. Okay, so let's run our program and let's see what we have. What do I forgot? Comma. Okay, yes, so there has to be a comma here. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, so as you can see what we are having here, so we are now getting each individual item. All right, each individual item. So this is how we can loop through to get individual by getting, we can loop through to get their individual item. All right, so this is how we can do that. For every individual card that is printed, it goes to the next line. That's what it's telling us. So this details here is a variable, okay, that is going to hold each individual item that we print from the class name. Okay, all right, so this is how we can find an element by their class name. Now we can also create a file and add the detail to a file. Okay, so if you have not watched my video, if you have not seen my video on how to create file, you can learn from, you can check the video description and you'll see how file handling works with Python. So how do we create a file? So from this detail that is coming, we can also store it in a file. So how do we do that? So we can use the open method, and we can do that with the with keyword. So we say with and then open. Okay, then we can now pass in the name of our job. So I'll call it job underscore detail. So I'll call it job underscore detail. All right, and then the file I'm going to create is a .txt file. So since it's a .txt file, sorry, it has to be in double quote, sorry, like this, and then comma. Now the mode of the writing has to be a W, because I'm writing into the file. So I'll do like this. Okay, then I need a variable, so I'll just do it as a file. Okay, as a file or as file. Let's just leave it as file. All right, so it's not even correct using it as a file, so we'll do it as file. All right, now so we are now going to loop through just like we did. So we'll do for, okay, for detail. So let's bring this this loop down here. So copy this loop and bring it down. Okay, bring it down here and comment them out, uncomment them. Okay, now that we have comment them, we need to push this inside. Python doesn't joke with indentation. All right, then we can now print each of them. Okay, so we need the file. So now that we are looping, we want each of them to go to that our file name. So we'll do file, then dot write. Okay, we call the file dot write, and inside that method we want everything to be a string. Okay, so because we want it to be in a string, so we call the str. Okay, and then we now pass in our variable, details variable. Okay, and then we can now print whatever we are getting. Okay, so I can also add dot prettify here. Now let me see, can do prettify here. Let's see, prettify. All right, okay, so let's print and let's see what we have. Okay, so you can see that as we are getting it here, okay, everything is being structured here, and a file has also been created for us. Okay, so a file called job details that is holding all the files that we have. All right, we can also structure what we are having in that file by using the dot prettify on the file. So let's say we can call the dot prettify here. Let's do it and see, prettify, and let's run again. Oh yeah, all right. Okay, so you can see the way what we are having here is now structured. All right, so this is how you can create a file and store whatever you are getting and store it inside. Okay, so you can see how structured they are now. So you now have the main container, and then you have the sub container, the one holding the image, the one holding the title, and the one holding the job description and all other details. All right, and the address and whatever. Okay, so this is how to write to a file. All right, so up next, what we are going to do is, from this file that we have here, we want to fetch each individual item. Take for example, we want to get this title, the job title. We want to get the company that is hiring for this job position, and then we want to get the location of the job. So for us to do that, we can use loop. So how are we going to do it? So we now do it here. So if we are going to get it, for example, what we need to do is just we can use their title. So we can do something like this. Let me comment this print out. So, and then I'll now do, so here I can do, let's say we want to get a job title. How do we do it? So we can do job underscore title, and then we say equal to. So remember, the job title is having a h2 tag. Okay, so you can see it has the h2 tag and with the class name title. All right, so what do we do? Let's go back to our code. So here we say job title equal to details. All right, remember that this detail is the variable here. Okay, so details, then we now call the .find method. Okay, when we call the .find method, we now pass in the h2 tag, h2, and then we do comma. Remember the class name is title, so don't forget your underscore. Then we can now do equal to, and then can now pass in title here. All right, so when we do this, we can also do the same for when we want to get the company's address or company's name. Okay, so let's do let's say company. Oh god, let's say company. So company, and then we do equal to, then we say details. Okay, details find details.find, and then in here we can now pass the h3. So what's the tag for the company? Okay, if you look at it here, what's the tag for the company? Is h3 tag with a class subtitle. Okay, so it's h3 tag with a class subtitle, as you can see here. All right, so let's go and do it. Let's go back to our code. Here we say details.find, then h3 should be in a quote, double quote, then we'll do comma, and then we'll now do class underscore equal to, and then we now do subtitle. So it will be subtitle. All right, so when we are like this, so we can also get a job location also. So how do we do it? We can say location. Let's name it location, and then we say equal to details. Okay, we can call the .find method again, and then we pass in. So let's check our what's the tag for the location. Okay, so the location is a p tag. All right, it's a p tag with class location. Okay, so you can say something like this. So we have the p paragraph, the p tag, comma, and then the class name location. Okay, so say class equal to location. All right, now let's print and let's see what we have. Let's print them. So we say print, and then we pass in job title. We print again, we say company. Okay, so remember that what we are doing now, we are fetching from the file we have created earlier, and then company and what again? Location. So the location. All right, so remember that this detail we are already getting it from what we have done here. All right, so let's run it and let's see what we have. So we can do something like this. And boom. Okay. So you can see that we are only getting the job title, company, and location alone. We are not getting any other. So this is how to make web scraping very awesome and simple. Okay, so all you need to know is how to use the parser. You remember where we started from? We started by creating an object of beautiful soup and then using the html.parser. You can go back to the previous video where I explained this parser. Okay, so this is how it works. All right, so it's looping through to give us all the job, their title, and their location. Okay, so thereby ignoring every other detail in the file. All right, okay, let me stop it. So you can see we are only getting the job title up to, okay, forget about it. So we have jewelry designer, the company is Lee Gregory, and the location is Adamburg. Okay, so we can also add prettify. Okay, you can also add prettify if you want to. So this is how we can use this. Now you can also add strip or text strip to remove white spaces. So how do we do that? Let's add the text first. So if we add the text, for example, okay, let's add the text to the three of them. Okay, and let's print again. You will see that how it's going to come out again. Okay, so you can see that the white spaces has already been removed. Okay, let me kill it so we don't waste too much time. Okay, you can see that the white spaces has been the extra what is it called, the tags and whatever has already been removed. Now we can also remove these white spaces by using the strip method. So we can do the strip, you can call the strip method on it. Okay, strip, and then we can, let's add strip to all of them. All right, so when we do it, and boom, so you can see. All right, so this is how beautiful soup makes everything beautiful for us. Okay, we can even add spaces around them. So if we come here and I do print, okay, and I do like this, and I do like this, and I do like this. Okay, don't do. Okay, so you can see that no white spaces again, but let me add space. So I've added this space. Let's see what we get. So this will come to the end of the class, and this is how you can understand the basics of web scraping in Python. All right, so it's very simple to understand, it's very easy to understand. All you need is have a good understanding of HTML and their structure, and how to use developer tools to inspect your website or the target website you want to scrape. Then you know, okay, when you are looking, you know the different method, the different method, the classes, the ID of your element that you want to get. All right, so this, you can also store this in the file also. Okay, all right, so this becomes your assembly. How can you add whatever that is coming out to a new file? Okay, so if you figure it out, let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and share. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, reach out to me anytime. Okay, all right. a nice day. Thank you.